Hello, I'm working on a Lawn Boy 10356. Get around here. A neighbor dropped this off and said that the self-propelled wouldn't work. The engine ran fine, but the self-propelled drive wouldn't work, and it just freewheeled. I tried looking this up online a decent amount, and while I could find parts diagrams and I could find all kinds of pictures, I couldn't find any description as to how this thing actually worked. Now, I'm familiar, or at least somewhat familiar, I'm sure many of you are more so, of this style Lawn Boy drive, where it just has a PTO that runs out to each wheel. It's more of a classic drive system. But this one, I wasn't familiar with. I've worked on similar ones, and if something doesn't work, typically it's this belt right here. This belt will be slack. What happens is when you engage this drive right here, it pulls right here, snugs the belt, and then drives a gearbox, which transfers power to these output shafts. You can see I'm spinning this, and as you can see, this is rotating. Well, here's what I couldn't figure out. I took these apart, and here's what it looked like. Let me spin this around so you can see a little better. Now again, I had parts diagrams, but it looked like I was missing some pieces. Here's what was in there. This sat right here. This spring went on here. I'm sorry, in the wrong order. This guy went here, spring, and that kept tension. Of course, there's a C-clip then to keep tension on that. But you can see this still spins free. What that's supposed to do is mesh with, on the wheel, there's a set of gears there. And then when I picked up the back of the lawnmower, it would still spin. So you could tell that it was getting power here. But obviously it freewheels, so as soon as you put any pressure on the mower, it wouldn't spin. Now, in just looking at it, I assumed that this spring here was just providing pressure against this backing, and it would cause enough friction to cause this thing to not spin. But that was completely wrong. In the picture, there was supposed to be a key in there. And of course, if you look real close, on this one, you can actually see the key. But none of the descriptions told me what that thing did. So let me show you what it actually does, and hopefully this will help some of you if you have this same issue. It was very difficult to even tell where the key was on this side because it was so grimy that it really just looked like the keyway went about this far and then it stopped, and there wasn't a key in there, whereas this key, here's the actual key, was just covered up with grime, grease, grass, everything else. So here's how it's supposed to work. And bear with me while I get this back together. This key is supposed to slide free in here. All right, so what happens is, if you'll notice on this gear, there's some inner indentions here. Now, when you try and move forward, what's supposed to happen is this is supposed to rub against the plate behind it. Of course, this shaft is spinning. This is going to spin with it, but that spring pressure is going to put pressure against this, which pushes it against the housing underneath it. Actually, there's another plate, another disc underneath there, a wear plate, which tries to stop this from spinning, which then turns this guy, and you'll see it lifts up the little edge of that key, which then, like I say, engages right here and allows that to turn. Now, if you push this faster than the motor is turning, you'll see that gear will rotate this direction and it'll close that guy back up. Or if you want, so if you want to pull the thing backwards, push it forward, if you want to move it around, it'll actually freewheel. But when you're trying to run the motor, this is how this is supposed to work. Now, again, when that thing was flat and it was all covered up with grime and grease, you couldn't even tell there was a key there. So just so if you know, this took a lot of degriming to get it this loose to where it actually would function. So hopefully once I get it all back together, this will then work. So hopefully this will help some of you guys if you're looking at this type of drive system. Again, this is a Lawn Boy 10356, but I know there's quite a few models that use this particular drive system. This is one of the newer Lawn Boys. It's a 4-cycle engine, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that said, I know some of you use these and you like them, and it does run well. This one, I believe, is a 2003 model. And there you have it.